Looking up at the skyline. All the places in time. You were there. Looking up at the skyline.
That 15 to 30% isn't just standing and being the same amount. What we can do here in our special areas, we can yield rewards on APRs and LP pools, vaults, things like that. Basically, what I have right now, I have about 25% of all my stables right now, all in Hyperliquid for the past 10 days, and I've been earning over 125% APR on their vault. So I actually still have been reaping rewards on my stables, while as well reaping rewards from buying the dips and appreciating investments in this market, right? If you guys start thinking in probabilities and not predictions, really, we've talked about last stream with TPing on low-hanging fruits, right? When we talked about risk management with Hoff here, TPing at those low-hanging fruits, right? Maybe not going for the full extension. Maybe now instead of 3 take profit points, or instead of 2 take profit points, now we have 3, right? You want to get that reduced risk off. The whole goal of reducing risk like this is to allow accumulation. Now we're accumulating a healthy habit of getting stables, right? We're taking profit into stables or Bitcoin here. And now it reduces your risk. It helps your mindset, realizing that you do have extra dry powder. You are reduced out of this. If it does go back to your entry, it is okay because you have profited from this. And not only that, the whole goal at the end of the day of trading like this is to decision making and execution. This is a huge thing. When we talk about psychology and mindset, I think talking about that piece of pie, this is a great 50 to 60% of that. You can be a great trader without great TA, right, guys? We've seen it. So maybe some guys have some simple TA because that's exactly what they want. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about specifically here, this is Alex. Alex talks a lot about his decision making and execution when it comes to his.
I talked about this with Hoff a lot, where I don't care if I get stopped out. Don't put your ego means nothing. I don't care if you get stopped out. Those 2 days, work your ass off, because whatever you lose on those 2, 3, even 4 is exaggerated, but 3 stop losses. Once Bitcoin went from 103 to 114 today, or almost 114, you're not gonna care. You're already up 15x on a decent bag, and you're not gonna care that you lost 5%. So, but I do agree with you. If it loses that invalidation, yeah, don't I talked about this with Hoff a lot, where I don't care if I get stopped out. Don't put your ego means nothing. I don't care if you get stopped out. Those 2 days, work your ass off, because whatever you lose on those 2, 3, even 4 is exaggerated, but 3 stop losses. Once Bitcoin went from 103 to 114 today, or almost 114, you're not gonna care. You're already up 15x on a decent bag, and you're not gonna care that you lost 5%. So, but I do agree with you. If it loses that invalidation, yeah, don't. That's why I put in my channel, there are no good traders in here. And I'm not talking about the server. I'm talking about the CT. There are zero good traders. They're just people. They are traders that make less mistakes based on experience. That's it. They make less mistakes than you, but they were all at your level. At the beginning, we all made mistakes, and I still make mistakes. I just make a little bit less because I get, you get hit in the head 100 times. At 102, you're like, fuck it, dude. I'm not gonna do this anymore. It helps you mentally because the market always wins. I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are. The market always wins. So your job is to make some profits, take them out and spend them in the real world. The way I do it is because if I want to become a race driver and you want to drive at 150 miles an hour, you train during off season, you train at driving 200 miles per hour. That's how you get good. So I trained for the past year and a half, and that's why I'm still in this game. And they tried to take me out many times. I trained at getting those perfect entries, and it took a long time and it took a lot of money. So this might not be for it. And I think you already talked about hitting it at the extremes and not having a bias. Dude, that's so important. I mean, I'm a perma bear on Twitter, but you guys know me. I catch all the longs also, but I just don't post them. but it's so important not to have a bias. You start. That's why when you start shorting, if you're only longing for a couple years, once you learn how to short, you see the market in a different way. Once you get good at shorting, it's kind of a it's kind of amazing because you have a, and this might sound gay, but you have a feel for the market. You actually feel, you're like, oh, I know where it's going. I know where it's going to deviate, and that comes with it. Shorting has been a blessing for me, and I know you get a. I mean, the downsides are it takes a little longer because as soon as everyone who enters the market, and this was my experience, the shorters were viewed as negative, like this unhappy, and well, that's kind of right. Yeah, you're never happy, but so they were right about some things, but they're just viewed as like anti-market, um, like sad, soulless creatures, right? And they're about 50% right. But once you learn how to short, dude, it was such a gift because the profits are amazing compared to longing. And a good trader buys the low, right? Like spot lows, and then you just keep shorting.
Detach yourself from outcomes and focus on execution quality. I want you to stop looking at your TP 3 point and stop seeing if I didn't take profit at 1 or 2 or these low hanging fruits, that this would be now my reward. Do not think like that. Do not look at targets. The moment you start looking at higher TP points and things like that, usually you're now not looking for the proper execution decision making that you were initially intended on that. Now there is a bandwidth here when it comes to adaptability. That's when it comes to figuring out your sweet spot when it comes to trading, is your adaptability in these areas. If it's realizing that you aren't adaptable and moving your take profit points like that, and yes, stick with your initial bias and decision on this trade. Do not see yourself not slowly reducing out. The whole goal of scalps and swings is to accumulate, right? Not to have a short-term big gain. We are looking for. I wanted to bring up some of these just great points that really stick with me. I don't have the greatest memory, but when I know I want to remember something, I remember it. I remember it forever. That's when I bring up these little things about risk management last week that Ghost has talked about, like being careful about the only time you should really keep adding into a trade is on a winning trade, not a losing trade. In literally a couple of weeks of doing that, I feel my win rate on Sharp A ratio is insane. It is grown at a short-term amount on just something so simple that opens your third eye like that. It just what it can do.
But the same thing also applies for swing trading, because I don't do leverage myself. I did leverage in the past, but I'm too emotional for it. Like all the points that you said are all valid. I got liquidated many times. So I moved on to swing trading, which I use the weekly and the daily. Again, it's slow, but at least I don't lose that much money. But the same rules apply for that too,
Right, and perps traders won't. The right perps trader will admit it, but all money's made from spot. Spot is king. Spot is king. I've made more from spot than I ever have from perps, and I think it will always be like that. So you're not in the wrong area doing something like that. I've gone in areas only spot. Honestly, you don't see myself getting into perps positions on October 10th or 11th. Why the hell would I enter? So if I'm in a swing position or something like that, when I know that my stop loss is now at break even, we're at a 10 to 20% move. I already reduced all my exposure of my risk on, and now this is a risk off moon bag, if you will, right? People use that term, a moon bag. I will change my leverage to as high as it can go, and now my margin is at the lowest in that position that it can be possible, and now I have access capital now to use for other trades. What this allows you to do, it allows you to take profits out of your perps position and move it over to accumulation areas like your funding or spot area, and you now can trade with the same size that you were before you had that money in, right? Because you had money tied into a position that is now not.
Okay, well then you see the level, right? Right in the
yep,
middle.
This whole you're playing this whole candle right here, right?
No, to the left. One to the left. Yeah,
right here?
That one. Yeah, exactly that one. And then all the way to October, they use that same level, bro. I had to reject it. Pretty funny. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So I'm thinking like if we can close above that again, then it should be good to go, right?
Right, because what we don't want to see is the same thing like this. Right now, we're kind of creating a little distribution setup, right? This is my distribution setup. Lower low here, respecting the old range, right? That's what you're kind of looking for, is respecting that old turbulence range when we did vertical pump after we grabbed some liquidity.